And hello, Akaya. I hope I'm saying that right. Just gotta get my stupid laptop to start showing my monitoring. Come on, there we go. All right. Hello, everyone. So it is Friday. It is. Let me zoom in a little bit more on this. The downfall of streaming from my phone is that I kind of don't know until I actually go live exactly if I'm have my camera lined up and all that. Let's actually shift over just a wee bit. There we go. I think that's a little bit better. All right. So it's Friday. It's Ricky B, the Rock and Roll Rat Day. And we are inking a page from the graphic novel that I'm working on, which is called Ricky B Goes to Sea. And this is a spread. So it's the first full spread, full bleed spread in the book. And you can see a little bit of the blue underdrawing. So because of that, we're going to be kind of going back and forth. The dialogue, of course, goes across both pages. So we're going to do this page first, and then it's just going to be a little bit goofy looking until we do the second half. So there we go. All right. And as usual, I'm starting with a bit of a thinner nib on the dip pen. And I'm also looking, going, what in the hell is that squiggle supposed to be? Oh, I did these blue underdrawings quite a long time ago. Well, you know what? It's going to be nothing. We'll just black that out because I can't tell. I mean, it's got humps as if it would be Ricky's ears or something, but that doesn't make sense at this point of the story. So we're just going to say screw it, and that'll get blacked out. And what I've done, because this is a full bleed, is that the trim point will go somewhere in there, but I don't know exactly where. So I've bumped the text down and in so that no matter what happens in printing, in theory, the narration doesn't go bye-bye. So we're going to start with outlining, and then afterwards we're going to come back with a big old fat nib and black things out as need be. So, hello, Mathis. How's it going? Normally with text, I kind of go over and do a whole bunch of scratchy lines and do them in black, but because this is going to be reversed, good to hear. Glad to hear that. Because it's going to be reversed, I'm kind of going to do the opposite and outline, right? Because the text is going to end up being all in white. Like this. An ink pen, yes, it is a dip pen. This is just the standard one you can get at Michael's, the Speedball. Actually, I have a brand new one that I haven't opened yet. So it's that kit, which I got at Michael's. You can get them pretty much just about anywhere, Amazon, etc. I do have a set of nibs on the way. They'll be kind of fun to experiment with some different nibs, but that'll be a couple weeks when they show up. And I'm using the Speedball Super Black India ink. But I also sometimes will do stuff with acrylic inks and whatnot as well. You're drawing, but they end up that, well, you know, it's just practice. And also sometimes I know I've looked back at drawings that I thought at the time were terrible, and I look back at them and go, actually, this is pretty good. So, you know, it's all kind of depending, I guess the question would be, why do you feel that they're bad? Like, is it something technical, or is it like a style thing, or it's up to you. Awesome. Thank you. Sometimes if it's something technical, then sometimes it's just, you know, practice or, I was thinking there's a book called Drawing on the Right Side of the Brain, which has been around forever now, but some of the exercises in that really make a huge difference, and it's just like, boom, suddenly something changes, and, I like to make it stylish and appealing. Okay, so it's kind of a style thing. That can sometimes just, takes time to develop, I think. Um, and sometimes, I mean, I know there's been times in my past where I was like, I'm looking at somebody else's drawing and going, how come I don't draw like that? And then it's just like, well, you know, I think everybody has that to a certain extent. Then eventually you kind of go, well, this is the style I have. But it also depends what it is you're trying to do, right? Um, Somebody wants to draw anime, then there's a particular style, right? Whereas if you're doing your own graphic novels and whatnot, well, then it's less of a concern because you're setting the style. And sometimes it's just materials or material handling. I know when I do stuff with felt tip markers, it's it has its own kind of charm, but it looks radically different. And aside from like quick and dirty posts and whatnot, I wouldn't necessarily put that out. Oh, thank you. Oh, thanks. Thank you. That's very kind. And when I get to this point, I may have originally been thinking having black text and then like white between the lightning bolts, but I think what I'm going to do is try and outline that text so it'll be white. And worst case scenario, once the book is done and I'm scanning things in, I can always Photoshop and tweak if I decide I want to make the lettering a little different, or, you know, have it be black over like a white, knocked out white background. But I always kind of want to have it as close as possible at this point because it saves time later on. I will go and thicken and darken this up with a fatter nib later, but fatter nib doesn't get into all the nooks and crannies, so we'll kind of go around with the scratchy pen first. Do I know how to draw a nature drawing? It depends on what. If you mean like botanical stuff, like flowers and whatnot, detailed stuff, I probably could, but I kind of don't have the patience, honestly. But I do some landscape drawing and whatnot, particularly for backgrounds. For example, Monday I had was working on a page from a different graphic novel thing, and there was like a lakeside beach kind of a scene. Um, so I guess the answer is sort of, depending on what. Um, Doing really realistic, like, animals, not so much. Um, what's the name? Daria Studio, I think, is the channel name, and she does amazing, amazing, nature drawings, both botanicals and animals, only lead pencil and markers. Yeah, and sometimes like, markers are great for practicing with. Sometimes, depending on the style you're going for, they end up being incredibly frustrating. Um, Especially, some of them will bleed quite a lot, so you can't get fine lines. Um, Lead pencil can smudge, so sometimes you want that look, and sometimes it becomes a problem, right? So I'm kind of wet marker. Okay, yeah, so that it probably does smear a lot, eh? Um, like, I'm used to working in pen, and I find nowadays I really don't like working with pencil. I mean, I certainly did in school and whatnot. Like, that's kind of a normal material, but I got used to it. At some point, I got used to just drawing in pen and wet marker bed smells good. Yeah. Especially, do they still have the what are they, the Mister Sketch? They're really fat, so they wouldn't be really good for drawings. But they had like the fruit scented markers. I had those when I was a kid, and we used to like sniff them all the time. Probably not good for us, but it was fun. Hey, and the flip side of that is there's certain effects you can get with marker that you can't get with any other medium. So it's a bit of a trade-off, right? But if you want a style that's very smooth and stylized that isn't normally drawn with markers, then it does become very difficult. Oh, thanks. And this area I'm not going to ink now because I'll just do that with the bigger nib. But we'll move on from there. The old elementary school, she's also my Mr. L Hot. You get the right teacher, they make a huge difference there. Just like you get the wrong art teacher and they will screw you up. But And when I finish this and eventually scan, the blue is not going to show because I'm going to be scanning in black and white. So it's a non-photo blue. Everyone, please like the stream. Well, that'd be great. So, eventually the likes go up sooner or later. But yes, hitting like does, I guess, help the algorithm or whatever. I'm really bad at like saying, "Hey, like the stream," blah 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 blah. But it does help for sure. Autobot logo with that, and yeah, I remember watching. Remember the Autobots and Decepticons and all those logos from back in the 80s when I was a kid. I think the logos are all the same now. I don't think any of that stuff's changed. So they're definitely pretty cool logos, really good design and all that. Hello, Conflict Board Gaming. Oh, thank you. I totally get it. There's a lot of videos I watch where I was like, I wouldn't even try that. Like, what's the guy's name? Glass Goof or something. He's a glass blower somewhere in Florida. I don't think he's posted anything too recently, but he does have all these glass blowing videos that he's posted over the last number of few years, I guess. And that stuff is fascinating to me to watch. But I wouldn't even try it. I'd probably get myself set on fire if I did. Autobot rollout, yeah. It's kind of fun to watch stuff that's, different from your own creative practice and whatnot. It gives all sorts of different ideas, and then it's relaxing because if you're not doing that particular art, then it's like, okay, I don't have to compare what I'm doing to this guy because I ain't doing what he's doing. So. Bumblebee, yeah, I remember Bumblebee for where I I also liked really liked Soundwave back in the day. Like I don't remember too many plots of the show when it was originally on, but I remember like probably because I've always been really into like rock music and whatnot. So of course like the one that looks like a boombox is obviously gonna be like, oh, that's the really cool one. but but I couldn't tell you offhand anything about the character now, even though I used to watch a lot of those. I do remember, I think Soundwave was a Decepticon, but it's been a long time. Let's go model. Yeah. I think I actually saw the first movie in the theaters like a million years ago. The Bay Okay, yeah, yeah. I don't. Did I ever see the Michael Bay version? I don't know if I did, honestly. I think by the time that came out, I kind of excuse me. I think by the time that came out, I wasn't really paying attention by that point, but the first animated one I do remember. Although I have friends who can like recite lines from that movie and whatnot, and that part, I'm sure at the time I could, but not now. What was the whole thing with the Decepticons? They were trying to steal energy from planet Earth, and like they put it in. It was like a weird, like oval, looked like a folded up blanket that was iridescent or something that they did with the energy, and then take it back to their home planet or something. I'm sure it was supposed to be an environmental message, but then it was also tied up in buy the toys. So it's kind of funny. What if Soundwave were a female? Well, that's the thing. I mean, didn't Soundwave have like other littler robots that came out of the chest? And it's like, well, that's kind of a, you know. Do you think so? Why do I think it was a female thing, or you're talking to Gaussy, right? Um, oh, okay, yeah, for dark humor's sake. John was the power I need. Oh, okay, yes, John. See, I tend to remember the visual part of it, and not like what things were called. Like even a lot of the characters, I can have in my mind pictures, but I'm like, I don't know what that thing was called. It kind of looked like a buzzard, and there were like three of them in different colors. Then they kind of became flying birds, but turned into cassettes. I don't, you know. Felt bad for, yeah. Well, that is a that is a rough situation for sure. Yeah, I generally try and steer clear of any sort of political current events sort of stuff. I mean, especially things like that. I mean, I don't think anyone watching this stream, least of all me doing it, has any ability to influence it, right? So, yeah. Title this is a drawing stream, but we're going to spend a whole lot of time on lettering. So this stuff is finicky and takes a long, long time. What profile is that conflict? I love the inconsistent word spacing that I did whenever I laid this out, but oh well. We'll fix it in the mix, or we'll just leave it. Drawing, yeah. Well, I mean, I've been drawing for as long as I can remember. So at a certain point, especially with this sort of stuff, because it's my own, it's my own story, graphic novel, blah, 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 makes it pretty straightforward. Now, if you saw me trying to draw, well, we were talking about nature stuff earlier. If you saw me trying to draw like a bird and make it realistic, well, then the sense is going to quickly disappear. But then I don't practice that sort of stuff, right? So these letters are outlined, then I'm going to work down here on the ship and probably flip it over and do in the top to get the background kind of nice and dark, and then we'll come back down. Then, I mean, we'll see. I would like to get a second page done today, but depend how long this one takes. So. What I think you're talking. Yeah, well, a lot of people multitask. I mean, I do that too when I'm watching live streams a lot of times. Um, I may be sketchy in my sketchbook or I may be eating, whatever, but not having hands free to type. And, you know, that's cool. And some people, they want to watch, but they don't want to get involved in chat, and that's totally cool too. It also depends on the day. I know myself, when I'm in someone else's chat room, sometimes I got loads to say and I'm typing away, and sometimes I'm just like sitting there watching and not typing at all. You know, it's all good. Cool. Do you find that every so often, even if I'm still using the same nib, it's good to pause and swish it out before things start to dry? Because you will get gunked up. What am I going to draw after this one? On this page, I think I'm actually going to flip this around and do this dark corner with the fatter nib right now. And then put it back right side up, do the bottom part, and then this is one half of a spread, so then we have the other side as well. I don't know. I mean, I can sort of see the blue outline, but what we have is he's referencing the big shiny rock from the Shipwreck movie, so that would be the big diamond necklace from Titanic. And that Ricky, the main character, is being told to go and fetch. Now, Ricky's narrating. He's not a liar, but he is a misunderstander. So it's a bit of an what they call an unreliable narrator for that reason. But apparently, this is what he says the voice of God told him. Of course, it was also first thing in the morning. It could have been a dream. We don't know. But it's what sets Ricky off on his journey of the book. This nib definitely needs to be soaked in pen cleaner at some point, but oh well. For filling in big areas, in some ways it's better off to do that with a brush, but then it ends up looking different enough that kind of rather just keep using big fat nib. And I think pen, that would get a Civil War letter on a paper. That kind of calligraphy handwriting. It looks really cool, like 1800s style handwriting. My handwriting is nowhere near tidy enough for that. Although I do my own lettering, but you know, that's block printing. That's a little different. Keep it as a collection. Yeah. It would probably be an interesting like graphic novel idea to set something up as if it was where it's a fictional thing, but to set it up as if it was a collection of found letters from that era. Like I put Venom on his sketchbook, yeah. Oh, if this was in a sketchbook, it would basically be much messier. And for this book, I do have a sketchbook where the entire thing is where I thumbnailed page by page what each frame of the graphic novel is supposed to look like based on the short story. But a lot of them are, you know, because it's thumbnails, it's like basically stick figures. It's like, I don't need to put detail here unless I was trying to record, like, okay, this is what the facial expression should look like. So the thumbnails for it in my sketchbook are super rough. I think I thumbnailed the whole thing is like 100 pages or something. I think I thumbnailed most of it in like 75% of it was thumbnailed in a single afternoon, I think. And then I added a B story later to flesh things out. So, oh, from the Venom movie. Oh, okay. I have not seen that one. So I hear I hear the word Venom and I'm thinking either snakes or like Norwegian death metal bands. So neither of which are things I really know how to draw properly. So, but it does. Yeah, I think I've heard of the Venom movie though. I'm laying on the ink pretty thick, so this area is going to be wet for a while. Um, that is the one thing with the really big nib is it kind of puddles. So you kind of want to do this on an area where you're then not going to be touching that part of the paper for a while. I like to draw with her hand. You know what? Everybody when they're starting, drawings look bad. I mean, like I said, I've been drawing a long time, but I have definitely seen drawings I did in high school and whatnot that looked like shit. It's just putting in putting in time really. And like I said, that book, Drawing on the Right Side of the Brain, has some really good classic exercises that really do help, including things like flipping the page and the reference photo upside down, because then you're drawing shapes and not going, oh, that's an eye, that's a nose, or whatever. Sometimes your brain is what really gets in the way of drawing the way you want, because And I find that too. It's like, okay, I think a pose is supposed to look this way because I know the anatomy, but the reality is, oh, you can't actually see whatever because, if the arm's behind the back or whatever, it's going to look very different. So sometimes the skill is just learning to ignore what you think it should look like. I don't know if that makes any sense, but I'm glad that there aren't that many pages that are totally blacked out except for text in this book. I think there's like 10. Well, I don't think there's 10. There's probably like 6 or 7, which is more than enough. Yeah, for sure. Definitely need to know what you're doing, though. Otherwise, it'll say something completely different than what you think it's going to say. There's always the old joke about, people who get Japanese or Chinese tattoos, and it doesn't actually say what they think it says. I remember I was at university, there was a bit of a trend for like Chinese character like earrings and stuff. I remember I did get one says like, "Oh, these look cool. I'm gonna run them by my friend Kathy. Kathy, what does this say?" She's like, "Oh, it says my. What does that mean?" That means pretty. I'm like, "Okay, that's not exactly what it said on the package, but at least it's not, you know, saying something awful or whatever." Thank you. And a couple weeks ago, I kind of thought, well, if I'm live streaming myself drawing, I should probably actually keep my nails painted, make them look a little better on camera. Otherwise, I tend to not take the time. But I was like, yeah, you should probably do your nails once a week. Right. Big chunk blacked in. And then this part's a little quicker to come down. We'll end up coming back to this nib because I got to be mindful of my hand drawing across. So like even here, I'll probably leave until after I have the ship drawn. And we can cover up my little note on the blue, non-photo blue underdrawing of fade to black. Don't need that anymore. Oh, the ink pen is wet. Yeah, it's a liquid ink. Now, when I use the thinner nib, it's gonna dry fast enough that you don't really see that, but this one tends to basically drag puddles across. So, um, Usually this ink dries fairly matte, but sometimes you will get, in these really thick spots, sometimes they still end up drying kind of shiny even after they've fully cured. So, art tablet, yeah. They can be great. You just want to watch your ergonomics. Like I have a web comic that I do called Noah's Archipelago, and I do that. I've been doing that on an iPhone since 2022, and I do find like by the end of drawing one of them, because I have to hunch over the iPad, it's hell on the back. So, but but they are very convenient. So um, actually, I might be starting to do Noah's Archipelago on Clip Studio Pro on my iMac, not my iPad. I have a Wacom tablet that I can use for drawing on, so that I can set up my ergonomics better, have my back straight, and all that. Um, but and there's some other ones like I actually have one. What's the brand? I think that it's XP Pen. Um, that one's a good one as well. The version I have was supposed to be one that you could see the video and draw directly on it, but because I have an iPad or an iMac that doesn't have an HDMI output, I can use it as an input, but not actually see what I'm doing, so it's a little awkward for the hand-eye coordination, but they are really fun for sure. Bit of a learning curve. Like one of the things I've got to do is like spend a few Sunday afternoons sitting in front of my computer with the Wacom or with the XP Pen and art book. Well, they're just completely different mediums. Like drawing on an iPad with an Apple Pencil is a radically different feel than like you can, I think, get screen protectors that you put on them that are supposed to feel like paper. I haven't tried them, so I couldn't tell you if they actually feel like paper, but it is nice when you screw up to be able to just hit the the backwards arrow and undo it. Um, but it's kind of like the old discussion of like acrylic paint versus oil paint versus watercolor. It's like, well, which one works better for you? Because they are completely different um learning curve, different feel, different drying times, different handling. So that's no, this is actually I guess they're diamonds. Diamonds or pearls. It is the big shiny rock from the Shipwreck movie. We just haven't drawn all of it yet. The way I'm drawing them, they kind of will look more like pearls than diamonds. I think the actual costume piece in the Titanic, I think it's supposed to be all diamonds, but and here it's supposed to be is like the railing at the front of the wreck of the Titanic. So this whole story actually came about in the summer of 2023. The main character, Ricky, I'd been doing like one-off, like single panel little cartoons in my sketchbook and posting on Facebook and whatnot. Um, this is supposed to just be like kelp or whatever. Um, whatever gooey stuff is growing on the Titanic. Um, anyways, I've been doing that story and then, or that character, and then when the thing about the Titan submersible was in the news, and we started hearing about, ooh, you know, yeah, they hit the ice. Yep, that's what happened to the Titanic. But then the Titan submersible, when they were going to see the wreck in what amounts to a junkyard submarine, you found out about the carbon fiber hull had been replaced because the first one cracked, and then Stockton Rush was not being honest with people about the sturdiness of his vessel and all that. Anyways, that inspired this story about Ricky, who knows nothing about the sea, trying to get to the wreck of the Titanic with, you know, parts from dumpsters and all this sort of stuff. So that's the beginning of this story. But it's that's kind of also where the similarities really end, because it took it off in its own direction. But yeah, and like submarines built by like actual professionals is a different thing. Not that I still wouldn't want to go in, an actual like professionally made submarine, but I definitely would not have wanted to go into the little death trap that Oceangate was running. Um, friend of mine and I were kind of obsessed with the story when it came out, and watched all like the Coast Guard testimony and all that sort of stuff. So, and then it ended up inspiring this graphic novel, which I'm still working on now, like 3 years later, almost 3 years later. Well, I think if you're down there, that's you. You gotta go. You don't have any other options. Now, in a proper submarine, like a Navy one, I think they actually have like wouldn't be a big bathroom, but proper facilities. I think in the Titan submersible that Oceangate had, they had a bucket in the back, and I don't even know if the bucket had a lid on it. One would hope so. Yeah, I don't know about the mom thing. I think that's a little too far. Hey, Akaya, how's it going? I think I've looked at reference photos of what the Titanic wreck actually looks like these days in a while, but in a way that kind of makes it better, because then you're just gonna make it weird for the graphic novel without worrying about, accuracy and pesky details like that. Let's see here. Need to do the necklace and then I can backfill on the boat. Thanks. Supposed to sort of be the whatever that diamond necklace from Titanic was. But you know, for copyright reasons, it's a totally different necklace. Even though it's referenced as the big shiny rock from the Shipwreck movie. Stressful time. And that is a noble goal. Card games. Oh, cool. The Crew 2. Okay. Not familiar with that one. I assume it's like a racing kind of game? Twitch. Back to the fat nib for now, because now we can sneak that up there on the bow. Yeah. do that one later. An island with a tree and a moon. Well, you never know. One of these days. I don't think there's any scenes like that in this book. I think I'll probably have to definitely do some photoshopping on the letters, but oh well. I'll deal with that at a later date. Nice. Yeah, skull drawings. I mean, there's a lot you can do with them with pencils and whatnot in terms of shading, depending on um, how, like the style of the drawing and whatnot. A lot of art classes will have like fake skulls and whatnot to have students draw because then you learn the bone structure and the anatomy and whatnot, as well as working on like shading and form and all that stuff. Good time chatting with you. Gotta go. Yeah. No worries. You take care too. Definitely sense that I'm going to be fixing up a lot of these letters later, but oh well. It is what it is. Note to self for future graphic novels. Don't do the lettering this way, it takes forever. But we are almost done with, well, at least this half of the spread. And that's kind of how it goes. I mean, you know, some pages you finish in half an hour, and some take an hour and a half. But it all kind of evens out. That's what I'm telling myself, so I won't be thinking that, oh my God, I'm doing an hour and a half per page for another 100 pages. Trying to get the look of the tube worms that sometimes can be found on the ocean floor. So, all right, so now I think we can go back to the fatter nib, and then I also want to bring out the medium nib, and mind you, I kind of look, yeah, I think I probably will use a medium nib just to thicken up the outline of the necklace. If you're wondering why I'm kind of shaking over there, I've got water bowls that I'm rinsing my nibs out in when I'm not using them. This is definitely, well, all the pages are going to be shrunk down a fair bit. I think this one will end up being, the book should be 7 by 10. So that ends up just making the art look a little bit tighter and denser, and therefore cleaner. So some of these gaps will disappear. Some of them will remain as kind of like, well, the pottery term would be chatter, I guess. So let's switch to a medium-sized nib. And I gotta make sure I'm a little bit cautious about not dragging the heel of my hand into the wet spots. I should have done this part first and then that corner, but it is what it is. So we're just kind of going around the outside edge, and it thickens up that line. It just makes the necklace come out a little more from the backdrop. So kind of, because that's dry already, so I can sort of stick my finger down there to brace myself, but actually I think I'm okay without doing that. That's way too thick. Actually ordered a different set of nibs where I should have one that's kind of in the middle between this and the really fat nib. So sometimes this one's a little too thick and the next smallest one's too thin, and so on and so forth. So that, I think, thickens that up, which means this page we are going to set aside. And now let's start on the second part of that spread. Finally. And now, look, these two should line up, but I can also muck with that in Photoshop when all is said and done. So we'll just put that over there, and then we go back to the thinner nib. Except I think what I'm going to do, actually, is be a little smarter and start with the fat one and sort of go this way. So means we'll change pens more frequently, but might make it a little more straightforward. I don't know. will put a little bit of scratchiness into those exclamation points. Outline them. Tops of these are going to get cut off for sure, which I probably didn't think about when I put them that close, but I'll see in photo in design when I'm laying it out. If it's cutting it off too much, then I would probably just black out this one. But I'll try and kind of actually drag it down a little bit. Hey Bentley, how's it going? Hey, no worries, most of these streams. Well, I just started the second side, and the first one took forever, so I'll be here a while still. How's it going? The fat one, yeah, it's the fat one. Worked late a few days. Ah, yeah. Well, no getting around that when duty calls, eh? Am I working now? This is pages 4 and 5, something like that. But 4 and 5 of the story part of Ricky B Goes to Sea. So same one I was working on last Friday, where Ricky's waking up on the floor. So this is where he's reporting what he thinks God said to him. He's not a liar, but he is a misunderstander. So But anyways, so the spread will go like that. And the dialogue kind of bounces around in a bit of a weird way from page to page, but oh well. Ricky thinks he's being told to go to the wreck of the Titanic and get the big shiny rock from the shipwreck movie, so. And that will impress his girlfriend a lot. And turns out that the lettering, the way I've decided to do the lettering, is taking forever. Because I'm like outlining to leave it white. And it's like, I should have just, that was the Batman thing. Well, I'm kind of thinking I may, depending on if I have time on the weekend, I may do a blue line of this, of the bat of well, bat mouse versus bat rat, and we may work on that for fun at the end of Monday's stream. Because I think what I'm gonna start doing is kind of put in about 2 hours on a stream, which is roughly 2 pages, but of the current miles spread, the Lakeshore one, I've only got 1 page left, so we'll see about filling that in with Ricky and Miles fighting. Got some super rough thumbnails done on Monday's the tail end of Monday's stream, but I think I can draw it a lot better and do it properly. So yeah, no worries. See you later. Hi, Chaparazzi. Hope I said that right. These litters are at least going a lot faster than on the other side, but then I've got some really little ones. So the very, very end is when we'll actually be drawing Ricky and, well, the back of Baby's head. might be kidding myself, but I do feel like this side is going faster. Probably because I haven't gotten to the nitpicky stuff yet. Hi, Garfield, Weezer mug. How's it going? Going good. Good to hear. Whoops. With that, we are finally done the lettering on this spread. Which has been a whole lot more lettering than actual drawing, but we are about to come to some drawing once I fill in some of the black background. With the big fat nib, because that'll go faster. Yeah, and I also had the other side of the spread, so I've been doing that kind of tight lettering kind of all stream. Like, oh yeah, note to self, don't plan to do lettering that way. At least try to minimize it or make it big. Like the go forth unto the sea went real quick. All right, drawing. First, we have this pair of kissing fish, which is kind of a nod to um, a project my best friend had a long time ago, actually, that don't think ever went anywhere, but the logo was going to be a pair of kissing fish. Um, so I thought I would borrow that. A little tribute. Finally, the hero of the show, Ricky. And my nib is starting to get a little stuck, but oh well. Yeah, I may have to switch to another nib. Well, let's fill in this corner and then while that's soaking. I think one of the things I'm going to be doing tomorrow is soaking my nibs in. I don't know if I'll use official pen cleaner, but I think you can soak them in ammonia, and that kind of does the same thing. Got to get one of those little Princess Auto, which is like a national kind of hardware store, automotive parts store chain here in Canada. Sometimes you can get really cheap, small ultrasonic cleaners, which are for like cleaning gunk off of screws and small gears and stuff, but I might actually grab one of those next time I'm in the area of a Princess Auto and see if it helps with nibs. I have heard that it does, because it'll kind of like shake out any dried particles. That one can soak now. Typical late in the inking stream fingers. Yeah, I'm just thinking because of where the trim line, this is going to be a full bleed page, so the trim line's probably going to go somewhere through there. So I think I'm going to move that heart actually basically to where well, Ricky's heart would obviously be off to the side, but Baby's his girlfriend's reaction hearts, I like to not have them cut off, so. Probably adds afterwards in like Photoshop, just add a little bit of a glow around. Sort of like that, but in white, but kind of going to be a pain in the butt to do that with ink, so I'll probably do that digitally and cheat a bit. That'll be one of the finishing touches. Oh, I see my phone is down to 7. I'm streaming on my phone. I see I'm down to like 17% battery. Although, yeah, still got some time, but I'm obviously going to have to draw a little faster, or we won't quite see the very end of the drawing on the stream. But fortunately, his girlfriend Baby is a blonde, so her hair goes quick. I think her arm's a little bit skinny, but we'll fix that later. We'll just go over the last few areas of backdrop that need the fat nib, and we'll kind of be done for today. Is that hi Riker. This is a page from a graphic novel that I'm working on. So once I get this little bit gone over, and up here I'll show you the other half of this spread. So the main character is this dude Ricky here, and he's also narrating. And the story goes, according to him, he's not a liar, but he is a misunderstander, that one morning he hears the voice of God, and God is telling him to go to, quote, the shipwreck movie, wreck. So that would be the Titanic. And I see I'm going to have to fix where those lightning bolts don't line up in the middle, but whatever, I'll do that later. Anyways, and get the, quote, big shiny rock in order to impress his girlfriend, Baby. So there's a whole lot of lettering on tonight's stream, which took forever. So not a lot of drawing, mostly background filling in. But that is what that is. And in next week's Friday live stream, we will carry on and do a couple more pages, which, if memory serves, they're more smaller drawings without huge blocks of black that I need to fill in. So I'm just going to thicken up some of the black in here, since it is, in theory, in the depths of the ocean. Or in dreamland, whatever. And I think that is pretty much gonna do it for tonight's stream. Thank you all for watching. So next Friday, we'll be doing a couple more pages out of this book. Monday, I will be working out of my Miles Marv graphic novel instead. So same time, 6 p.m. Pacific, and then kind of however long we end up going. So with that, I think I'm going to call it before my phone craps out. I'm already down to only 14%, so it's sinking fast now. But thank you all for watching and hanging out with me. And hopefully you'll catch me next time. And we'll be doing some more cartooning. Depends and whatnot. Hi, Garfield, new to the channel, so this is my introduction. Cool as hell, great job. Thank you so much. Well, like I said, I've got a few projects on the go. So this Ricky book is what I'm working on my Friday streams, and we're just going to plow ahead. I think the whole book is like over 100 pages. I'm going to ink 2/3 of it on stream. So kind of a couple pages a week until we get there. And then I've got another book, which is actually Baby's half-mouse cousin. He has a book that I work on Mondays, and then I also stream on Tuesdays. I was doing some like marker sketch brainstorming stuff, but I think I'm going to start working on like some like posters or greeting cards, small stuff for the rest of the month. And then in April, I'm going to start working on like a calendar project. So that would be the Tuesday stream. So that's, I'm glad you're enjoying it. It's kind of, as soon as I got going on the lettering, I'm like, oh, this might become a little tedious, but I'm glad it wasn't. And yeah, so that's gonna be it for this week's stream, and catch you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.